Hey everybody, welcome to the Outback Cooking Company's YouTube channel. I'm Jared Anderson, and on today's episode of Outback Eats, we are going to be making some brown sugar crusted porterhouse pork chops with apple walnut slaw. We like to highlight cowboy cooking. Today's recipe is coming out of recipe book Cooking the Cowboy Way by Grady Spears. Today we're going to be on the grill. So we've got a campfire going outside in our backyard. We're going to be drumming up our own brine here. We'll soak these pork chops overnight in a brine. We're going to make up some apple slaw. We're going to grill some carrots and some potatoes. First things first, which we like to do on every version of Outback Eats, is get our cowboy coffee going. Today my guest is Jacob Patterson. He's with Living on the Fly. Jacob, tell me a quick minute, what is Living on the Fly?
Basically, it's just a perspective on all the fly fishing and fishing-related recreation that Nebraska has to offer that a lot of people might not know about.
There's fishing in Nebraska?
There is fishing in Nebraska,
wow.
And there's actually some of the best trout fishing in, I'd say, in the western United States.
Wow. Well, I'm excited for you as we kind of go through our cooking regimen here today. You can maybe tell me some stories, and we'll sit around the campfire. Of course, the guest always gets to grind the coffee beans. So, we've got our cowboy coffee grinder here. We'll get some beans in here, and we'll let you go to work, Jacob. So you just take that thing there and spin that for about 10 minutes and see if we can get a couple fresh beans.
Just gonna have like a 10-minute just like montage of me doing this. Spin out. So how do I know when it's done? When it dings or when it just stops grinding?
It'll ding, actually won't ding, but when that thing is empty, it'll be done.
Alright. This actually takes me back when we used to live in Daly. My mom had this old wheat grinder. It's like this, exactly, but just upscale.
Your mom was very good about making homemade bread. And
she swore by it, and anything that she made had some element of whole wheat in it.
I'll have to get a recipe from her to incorporate here into this. That'd be great. Today, to set the tone, we're going to read from Baxter Black's Coyote Cowboy Poetry. This one here is called The Sandhills Savior. In the sandhills of Nebraska stands a monument of wills, where man has staked his claim to them blowin', rollin' hills. Where the buffalo once scattered in the bunch grass belly deep, a white-faced calf contented sucks his mama half asleep. But you cannot know the beauty or appreciate the past unless you know the reason cows could stay and man could last. For humankind is greedy, and the babies need to eat. So to the rancher farmer fell the task of growing meat. The fertile black dirt farmland running up and down the Platte got covered up with people, their driveways, and their cat. And them that lived in the cities saw no use for sandhills land, so the cattlemen and cowboys come up north to try their hand. They treated her with reverence and learned what Indians knew, that it cannot take abusing 'cause she's fragile through and through. And they learned a crucial factor to keep them cows alive. It takes more than snow and sunlight, it takes water to survive. So they dug their dainty windmills and pumped life out of the ground. It allowed the cows to flourish so the people stayed around. Then little townships prospered, and you can see by now, they built a whole existence upon that humble cow. From Thedford to Hyannis, from Valentine to Rose, across that sandy country where the prairie grass still grows, you'll see those man-made daisies, silhouettes against the sky, their steel petals gleaming on their stalks 18 feet high. On Nebraska Highway 20, or State Road 83, there's a million creaking windmills standing proud for you to see. They represent a people and the land they're living in, the lifeblood of the sandhills spinning freely in the wind. So that's a little story about the resources that these farmers and ranchers are taking care of. Resources like water and wind that we've been blessed with out here in the West. First thing we're going to do is make a brine here for our pork chops. First we're going to put some water in the skillet here. We'll get that on the fire, and we'll come back in here and prep the rest of our brine and add that to the water on the fire.
I'd like to reiterate that I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just doing exactly what Jared tells me to do. take this inside, or
Break it.
he's probably got a couple of these, right? Just laying around. I like watching cooking shows. Retaining that knowledge is a whole nother thing, but I do like watching them. Do you have like a secret ingredient that kind of is like your go-to ingredient to add, whether it's like a spice or?
I really like to add fresh garlic and fresh onions.
Okay.
Rather than a ground garlic or a dried garlic.
Right.
And I think just the key to all this, you can see we're blessed with a bunch of fresh ingredients in
And I
the
have,
store.
so how much of all of this right here is all going to be mixed together?
We're going to use this these ingredients here for the brine.
Okay.
We're also going to make a rub, which includes basically these ingredients here: pepper, salt, chili powder, brown sugar. We're going to roast some fennel seeds and some cumin seeds on the fire, and then we will make an apple slaw that will incorporate these ingredients here.
Okay.
So fresh ingredients really is the key to success.
Right.
Yep. What you put in is what you get out.
Right. So brine is for the meat, or is this for the meat as well?
That will be for the meat.
Okay.
What we'll do is we'll brine this. We'll brine the meat, the pork chops, with these ingredients here, and then we'll dry those tomorrow. Technically, I've got some in the fridge we've already brined, so we'll pull those out of the fridge, and then we'll put that rub on the pork chop.
Gotcha.
Yep. And then these ingredients here will go in the slaw, which will go on top of the pork chop. So it's very good to just use the recipe that's printed in the book to begin with. And start with that whenever you're new, and then as you get practiced at it, you can find your own takes on them. Baking is a whole different situation, but if you're grilling or just cooking, a lot of times you can just incorporate other ingredients you might have in your pantry. Example today, we've got a couple things that the recipe called for, but I couldn't find at our store.
Okay.
So just from my experience, I grabbed a couple other things that I might like to incorporate. One of these is the cumin seeds. The recipe did not call for that, so we're going to go down that way. I had some pecans instead of walnuts, so things that are close. We didn't have any parsley. We found some fresh celery in there. We're going to incorporate that into the slaw instead of parsley. I like the fresh garlic. Like I said, fresh garlic and fresh onion. And actually those flavors are just going to be into the meat. It's not going to be the garlic itself. Pork pairs well with fruit.
Okay.
So that's where we get the orange flavor from. Also what we're using in the pork is mustard. We've got some thyme, brown sugar, and some peppercorns, salt. So we got the sweet, savory, spicy.
So what's up with the whole myth of like cutting an onion and making it cry? Isn't there like a certain way you cut it that avoids that, or
there is a few things you can do.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up. A few secrets. I'll see if I can remember some of them. One thing is to leave the root on. So,
okay.
Of course, onions grow on the ground, but if you leave the root on, I guess it's supposed to be less pungent for your eyes. I actually wear contact lenses, and so they don't bother me, if you can believe that.
Okay.
We're gonna do a coarse cut on the onion today. We'll take all this out to the fire. All right, once again, the recipe for the brine is a half a gallon of water, which we've got under the fire in a skillet. We'll bring that to a boil. We're going to add our kosher salt, Jacob, sous-chef. We've got a half a cup of kosher salt today. We've got a tablespoon of black peppercorns. We've got some thyme leaves, half cup of fresh packed thyme, 1 cup of brown sugar, and then we've got 2 tablespoons of ground mustard today. As well, we've got our oranges halved, white onion, and garlic. We've got that mixed together. We'll dump that in and then we'll whisk that all together. Then we'll bring that to a simmer. We will add another 2 cups of water as needed, and then we're going to take that off the fire when that's done. Probably let it simmer for 10 minutes or so. Take that off the fire, we'll bring it to a cool, and then we'll pour that over our pork chops in a 9x13 pan. Cover that with saran, store it in the fridge overnight. We're on to the apple walnut slaw. This is a version with no cabbage in it. It's basically just apples and walnuts and dressing. And the ingredients here call for 4 Granny Smith apples. Well, we don't have Granny Smith today, but we've got some of our favorite apples here from the store. So your choice of apples on that. We'll do half of a lemon juice, a cup of red grapes cut in half, some toasted walnut pieces. We've got pecans today. This will be your job, sous-chef. We're going to toast these over the fire outside the camp. 3 green onions, so we've got some green onions we got here. Some celery, we'll incorporate that in here. I'll show you what we're going to do there with that. Salt and pepper, and a half a cup of blue cheese dressing.
This is like the closest that I'll probably will ever get or have ever gotten to roasting chestnuts over an open fire, except this is not chestnuts or the holiday season or yeah.
Okay, our sous chef has simmered our brine over a fire for about 15 minutes. Looks like that's done. We're going to pour that over our pork chops, and then we'll cover these and refrigerate them for 6 to 8 hours or overnight. We'll be ready to go tomorrow. It's pretty good, Joe. It smells good. All right. What?
It's back.
You're in the video. You're in the video, Brain.
Did you preheat the pan, Jacob? It's a rookie question.
No.
Did you heat it before you heated it? That's preheating.
No, it's not. What's I supposed to do?
Well, what is the definition of preheating? Do you preheat the pan, or do you heat the pan? That's the question.
I would say you'd heat the pan, right?
Is there such thing as preheating?
Preheat would be the form it is in.
Okay, so let's say let's use
hanging
a
up on
scenario
the
that's
wall,
much-
right?
You're heating the oven up, right?
Well, why does it have a button on it that says preheat?
Exactly my point.
This conspiracy goes all the way to the top.
They smell good.
Oh, actually, I can smell them. I think I can smell them this time. You kind of have to. Here, hop on my right side. You can smell it with the wind blowing it in your face. Yeah, smell them.
Okay, last 2 ingredients is our blue cheese dressing and salt and pepper. We'll count that as 1 ingredient.
Oh, that's what I'm smelling.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this smells good. There's like something going on right here.
We've got some pork chops that have been marinating overnight. We're about ready to pull those out of the fridge. Right before we do that, we're going to make a quick rub that's going to go on top of our pork chops. That consists of a half cup of brown sugar, a tablespoon of chili powder, a tablespoon of salt, a tablespoon of pepper. The sous chef Jacob has roasted some fennel seeds and some cumin seeds. Those have got a nice smell to them, nice aroma.
I would say somebody who's like, that's an awful lot of work just for a few little pork chops. They'll probably last like 2 seconds.
Those things aren't going to last very long. They're going to be pretty tasty, aren't they? But it is a lot of work. But that's, I guess, probably what we're missing anymore is the preparation part of
Right.
our food. Just demonstrates, like you and I, we get to visit, hang out while we're cooking. The cooking process incorporates a lot besides just the eating, right?
Right.
So there's a tremendous amount. Just like anything, you have to enjoy the process. The
Right.
results aren't necessarily what's important, it's the process.
For sure. That's definitely an appreciation that fly fishing gave me more than any other,
Yeah.
like any other outdoor thing. I just started to notice, like, just when I was fly fishing, I started just noticing that I was taking in a lot more of the area around me. You know, I was noticing more wildlife than I would normally notice if I was just walking in the woods, or I just had a growing appreciation for just the vegetation that would be growing alongside the creek or in the creek, and all that started to just culminate into just when you're there, you appreciate the whole experience. Like sometimes I've caught few fish, I've caught no fish, but even on those disappointing days, I think I can say like I didn't leave disappointed.
That's one of our mantras here at the Outback Cooking Company is that we want to slow life down, and we do that by slowing our food down a little bit. So,
Right.
yeah, when you get out in the wilderness, you just appreciate the birds and the plants, and
Right.
you appreciate the fish. I mean, most fish, you've told me yourself, that most fish you catch, you don't even keep, but it's just part of the process.
Slow down.
Slow down, enjoy your environment.
Enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen to God, what's He got for you today? And by cooking here, it's just a chance for us to slow down, slow our mind down, slow our bodies down.
Right.
And also to prepare better food.
For sure.
Yep. All right, there we have it, folks. Thanks to my sous chef, Jacob here, for drumming up the rub that we put on our pork chops. Again, we've got our roasted vegetables, which is whole carrots and potatoes. But the highlight of the dish here is our brown sugar fennel crusted pork chop, along with our apple pecan slaw today. Kind of a winter meal, but yet here we are in March, getting ready for spring, so we got a little salad on top of that. Make sure that you check out the written recipe that we'll have posted online as well. So once again, we just had a good time making this, and that's what's important. For sure. Just our conversation and just the process of seeing all of our food come together. Thanks for tuning in with us today, guys. See you next week. Pretty easy, right?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Excellent.
Wow. Wow.
It's almost backyard barbecue season, Joe. So this is good backyard barbecue material right here. That rub is really good on there. Yep. Excellent recipe.
Wow. There is so much flavor that just like sits in it.
It's really good.
Oh man,
You can
it's
taste it all. You can taste the orange. You can taste the garlic.
The orange really comes out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really plays nicely with the roasted fennel and cumin.
I mean, and obviously you've got The carrots have a really good smoky flavor.
Last video, Braden rated the dish 9.5 out of 9.5 bear pelts. So I think you should rate today's dish however many out of 10 tight lines.
Tight lines. That's a good one. There you go.
Okay.
Tight line man right here.
Tight lines are a good thing. I mean,
don't overrate it, but let's just be honest, right?
So
what's
how many out of 10?
I think a 1 to
10.
I like 1 to 5. 1 to
Okay,
5
1 to
tight
5.
lines.
1 out of 5 tight lines.
Jared, I gotta disagree with you. I don't think I can stop at 5.
You can't go over 5. You got to be realistic.
I am being realistic, Jared. You saying I can't go over 5?
1 to 5.
Okay, so for Jared, I'd say a 5. For me, this would be like a 9.8 tight lines. Like this is a full day of nothing but tight lines.
That's a good day.